Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for staying with us here on It's Your Call. We're talking about women's professional soccer. It's an exciting new league called the WPS. We're talking about its successes, its rivalries, and its future. Now, of course, as always, I want to give you an opportunity to tell us what you think. Are you a women's soccer fan, and are you glad to see it back in the States? And what do you think about a so-called rivalry between the league champs and the league newcomers? If you want to tell us what you think about that, whether you're pumped about it, whether you're going to be out there supporting these ladies, we'd love to hear from you. Also, any other questions or comments that you have, a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can email me directly. I listen to every single solitary comment that comes in, and I'll respond back to you, or I will forward it to the guest. You can find me at lynn@lynndoyle.net. You can also find It's Your Call on Facebook, MySpace, or YouTube. And once again, we have the members of the professional soccer league here with us, and we're getting their insight on what's coming up in the months ahead. All right, Tasha, I got to turn back to you, because while I respect the whole bring it concept, I expected more from you. I expected you to lay down the challenge to the newcomers here. Put your money where your mouth is.
Right, TK.
All right, audio needs to have the beep ready.
This will be the first time she's speechless.
Okay, you are speechless? Yes. I don't believe it. So what's your team going to bring to the table this year in addition to what it did last year? How would you repeat as a champion?
I think, first of all, we started off strong this year with a win. It took us about 8 games last year. We have a new staff, new team. Our camaraderie is just great as a whole. More chemistry, and that's what we need to win.
It's funny you talk about chemistry, because what people don't see here is that we might think that there could be a rivalry between your two teams, but you guys have been around the circuit for a long time. You all know each other like sisters here. Is it hard to kind of get up the enthusiasm that you need to take down someone who's been on your team in the past?
No, because we're all competitors, so we know that when we're playing together for the same team, we're going to be just as competitive, but when we're playing against one another, we'll be friends after the game.
It's a war. Game time is completely different. I mean, I have known her for years, but game time is she's the enemy, and I don't like anything about it.
After you cross the white line.
And I don't give a hug. And good job. Except for,
So, do you think that women in your sport get the kind of respect that they deserve? Is that a touchy subject?
No.
Nope. No, it's not. It's a touchy subject, or they don't get the respect.
I don't think people see. I don't think we get the respect. I mean, no one really understands the level that we play at until they come to a game and see it live.
Right.
There's a lot of opinions, or actually until even on the field watching. I mean, if you come to a training sessions are just as hard as games. And when you're there and you see that, and you're going to get more respect for the game, but a lot of times it's like, oh, it's just the women, the game's slower, the game's not the same as the men, and it's just like, but come out and support the women, and come out and see a game, and then make your opinion on it before making an opinion before you actually see it live.
Yeah, speaking of opinion, I put some questions on my Facebook page about women's soccer and whether or not it could be successful, and Heather, because we're friends and have been friends for a long time, chimed in with your opinion. Were you surprised that there was some negativity in the responses? I mean, I was kind of irritated by that.
I wasn't surprised, but it always kind of, it's unfortunate, because
rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah, I feel like we have come so far, and we still have a long way to go. But we play the sport for the right reasons. It's because we love it, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that, all the hard work that we do put into it, and we love the game, and that's why we're playing.
But I was there when Title IX was passed in '72. Okay, so we're talking 28 years. I was a varsity athlete in college, high school and college, and that meant a lot to the women of my generation to have Title IX passed. But I find it very frustrating that you're 28 years later, and people are still talking about the inequity in sports when it comes to men and women. And it just seems like we've made some progress, but we haven't really made as much as my generation would have hoped for your generation.
I think it's a continuous fight for us.
Yes.
I think we're still every day, fighting for that respect. And we are playing in this league for the future. Because if you think of a professional athlete and what they're getting, we are, taking a pay cut. We are, not getting the accolades that most professional athletes get, but we know it's a start. It's a startup right now, and we have to keep fighting. And as women, we're going to keep doing it. So maybe down the road, 10, 15 years, there is the respect, but it's still growing, and even just the sport in general is still growing. Not it just being females, but I think it's something we're always going to have to fight.
Do you kind of look at other female professional athletes in sports that perhaps did not get respect years ago and are now widely accepted? I'm thinking of tennis. When tennis first started, the women, they're, oh look, we'll let them play a couple of little sets, and golf. And now those athletes are looked upon, with a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I think it's great. And our sport, unfortunately, soccer is behind all those other sports. So we still have a ways to go, and I think that we will get there. But that's why this league is so important, because we want to make sure it lasts. We want to make sure it's around, because if it's not, then that's going to be very detrimental for soccer.
And I think also, I remember being a young girl wanting to have a female to look up to that I could have a conversation with. And we take that personally. We sign autographs after every game, and we go up to the girls and we have conversations with them to tell them dream big and you can be us one day. And I think that's one thing that we take personally, is that we're doing it for us now, the women of the past and the kids of the future, and we want them to have a league too. So,
do you find it at all difficult to be a role model for these young girls that are coming out to watch you? Because the men sometimes complain that they don't want to be a role model. They're there to play a sport, and they never said that they wanted to be judged by their actions anywhere off the field or otherwise. How about you guys? Is it actually a privilege to be considered a role model?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah?
I think it comes along with the whole big picture too. It's obviously us growing up idolizing the soccer players, and then now we're in their shoes. We want to be able to do the same thing. That's how the sport grows.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons why we do this, because sometimes you have a conversation with a little girl, and you can see in her eyes just how she's like, oh my God, I feel I'm the luckiest person alive.
Right.
And that right there is one of the reasons why we do this. So it's we take that with honor, that kids look up to us that way. I mean, I don't think I could think of anybody in this league that says, I don't want this.
Okay. On that note, I have to take another quick break, but we're going to continue to talk with the professional women's soccer players here. And if you want to join in our conversation, you can email me right now. It's lynn@lynndoyle.net, and we'll find out what you have to say about this emerging sport. Stay with us.